Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to take a look at the LEGO 18 plus or creator expert Ghostbusters ECTO-1. Now, this model right here is based off of the ECTO-1 from the brand new Ghostbusters Afterlife movie, which hasn't been released yet, which is kind of unfortunate, but regardless, I'm really glad that we have this model here. And for hardcore Ghostbusters fans of especially the first movie from 1984, will probably notice some differences in this model compared to that one because, like I said, this one is based off of the Ghostbusters Afterlife film, and there's actually very, very simple ways to make this car look more like the original 1984 Ecto, and we will get into that in a later video. But for now, we're going to take a look at this beautiful model. So this is a Lego set 10274, 2,352 pieces, and it retails for $200 in the US. And this thing is massive. This thing is huge. Just look at it compared to my hand. This thing is very, very large, and that's fine by me because I don't think they would have been able to put as much detail into this thing as they did if it were at a smaller scale. And speaking of detail, this is probably one of the most detailed, accurate representations of a movie car that LEGO has ever done, and that's just my opinion. There's not really a one spot on this car that I don't think looks like the actual Ecto-1 and the actual 1959 Cadillac. So LEGO did a very good job replicating the Ecto-1, but also replicating the 1959 Cadillac. So starting off with the front of the model here, you have a lot of really, really great details up at the front here, including the headlights, the grille, and the Ecto-1 license plate there, and also the bumper. Some pretty neat part usage going on up here. You have these barrel pieces in light gray, representing the headlights down at the bottom there. There's your Ecto-1 license plate, which is a sticker, and it is a clear-backed sticker, which kind of sucks. It's kind of my biggest nightmare, but if you're patient and careful, you can not screw it up. And then the grille of the car is actually a bunch of minifigure roller skating pieces stacked up on top of each other. So that's a really nice part usage, and I think it represents the front of the Cadillac, the grille of the Cadillac, very, very well. I think that was the right part usage to use. There's another sticker there on the hood of the Cadillac logo, which is another clear-backed sticker. You can open the hood up here, and you do have a very, very detailed Cadillac engine, which is great. You got all the bits and bobs in there that make this thing go. They didn't have to put this much detail in the engine, but they did. You even have the battery there with the connectors and the wires going to the back. You have the Cadillac logo there on the engine. Just all around good stuff going on in there. I really like the way that they represented these inner fenders, the inner wheel wells with those curved panel pieces. That's really cool. It's actually one of my favorite parts of the build, to be honest. Lots of detail going on in there, and it's very much appreciated. So continuing on down the side of the car, the front wheels do turn. They turn back and forth, left and right, and you can access that by turning this light on the top of the car. So when you turn that, the wheels will turn, and the steering wheel in the interior does turn as well. So that's all connected, and it's a very interesting system, and I very much appreciate the fact that it's not some big gear on the top of the car. It actually makes sense, and it's a light. So that's super fun. There is one of the printed elements, which is the Ghostbusters logo. There's 3 of them in this set. All of them are printed, so glad that that piece is not a sticker. Front doors can open. They actually have a stop in there that stops them from opening all the way, so that's very nice. And the doors feel good. They feel like a model car almost, not a Lego car. They like click when you close them, and they feel heavy almost, as if they are from the real car, because I'm sure they were heavy. Here's the ladder that is technically on the wrong side if you're thinking of this as the original Ecto-1, but just like the door opening on the other side, there's a reason that this is over here, and we'll get to that when we get over there. There's some of the tubage, and you do have an antenna here on the back, which is nice. And then you get back to here, which is probably the most interesting part of the build and the car itself, is just these big fins, those 50s style fins. The way that this whole section of the car with this angle here and the fins themselves, the way that all goes together is super cool and was very, very fun to build. Moving to the back of the car, you do have your tail lights, which are represented nicely. I do like the parts usage for this circular tail light. Your back bumper, another one of those ECTO-1 license plates, and then you do have this rear door, which is at a pretty significant angle, but it's on a couple ball joints there, so it's still able to open the way that it should, and very accurately at that. So that's very nice, having that door be able to open but still at that cool angle. You got another tube going up to the top rack there, your other fin section. This rear door on the right side of the car does open backwards. It's a suicide door, and the reason that opens in reverse, if you've seen the trailer for the Ghostbusters Afterlife movie, you know why that is, but we'll get into that when we show the action features of the car. The front passenger door opens as well, and inside there, actually, there's a little like Easter egg, because I don't know if this is going to be in the new movie, but it's a little bag of Stay Puft marshmallows. So if that's not part of the new movie, that's a nice little Easter egg. That's actually the last thing that you build in the set. So that just sits on the passenger seat there, which is just a nice little touch. You got another side view mirror, a little antenna, and then this larger antenna that goes up to the top. And now moving on to the top, you got all your good Ghostbusters equipment. So you got those big blue light bars, which are made up of a bunch of transparent blue slope bricks, which feels very classic Lego, especially that printed slope in the middle. It just feels like an old Lego print and old Lego parts, so that's very nice. You got another two big blue lights on the front there. You got the turning actuator, your siren over here. There's a red light there. You got all your canisters and your wires and your sniffers and your satellites and your antennas and all sorts of ghost-busting equipment, whatever all of that stuff is for, whatever all of it's called. I'm not entirely sure. Some more stuff on this side, and if you just noticed the sniffer and the dish move, that's because the sniffer and that half dish in the back there are actually connected to the rear axle. So when those wheels turn, the sniffer and that dish actually turn with it, which is a nice little feature that they didn't have to put into the model, but they did, and it's very much appreciated because that's just super cool, very accurate. The way that that's put together is actually very cool as well, because the half dish is actually connected on a Technic axle that goes down to the rear wheels, but then off of that is another gear that connects to the sniffer with a mechanism that makes that just go back and forth, and it's all hidden underneath this rack, which is super cool. So now getting into some of the action features, or playable features if you want to call them that. There is a few in this set which are super cool. Like I showed you one, you can turn this light on the top to make the wheels turn, the satellite and the sniffer on the top move, but you also have a cool one back here in the back of the car. So if you open up this back door and reach in there, there is a little remote control buggy ghost trap. So I am assuming that this is part of the new Afterlife movie, and we'll see that when it comes out, but it's just a little ghost trap on 4 wheels, which is super cool. Little buggy remote control car or whatever. You just stick that in the back there, close up that door, and this little stud right here, which is representing the gas cap for the actual Cadillac, you pull that straight out, and when you do that, that little buggy comes flying out of the bottom. So when you pull that lever out, the ramp goes down, and when you push it back in, it goes back up, and that little buggy just sits on top of that ramp in the back of the car. So that's one of the first things you build in the instructions, which is actually a super cool little mechanism, and that's all hidden away inside of the back of the car. So it's not like when you open this back door and look in there, it's just a bunch of Technic stuff and mechanisms and all that stuff. There is actually some detail in the back of the car. So now to the other action feature, which involves this suicide door like we mentioned before. So if you've seen the trailer for the Ghostbusters Afterlife movie, you know that there is a gunner seat in the ECTO-1 now, and that is why the ladder has been moved to the other side to allow this door to open and for that seat to fly out. So on the other side of the car here, there is one of these slope pieces right here that can be pushed in, and when you push that all the way in, it springs out the gunner seat, and it actually spins it around. There's like a hydraulic piece in there, and you just push it back in, and it spins itself back around. You push that out again, and it just flicks out. It's not the smoothest thing, that's for sure. And if you have the door closed, it's supposed to be able to push the door open on its own. But I found that you have to really, really push it for it to do that. And sometimes when I push it back in, the seat doesn't spin all the way around. I don't know if I screwed something up, or I didn't build something properly, or maybe I just have to tighten some pieces. But it is a nice little action feature to have. It's fun to push that thing out. Very accurate to the new movie, at least from what I've seen in the trailer. And it's just a nice little action feature. And all of the stuff that makes that work inside of the car is hidden as well. So I don't know how well I'll be able to show you the inside of this thing, but there is some detail in there. There's some extra seats and some stickers and all of the ghost busting equipment in the back there. So it's not completely empty. It's not taken up by mechanisms and all that. There is some detail in there, but unfortunately you can't take the roof off of this thing, which kind of sucks, but it's nice to know that the detail is in there, and that's very much appreciated. And I think that's going to do it. So there is the LEGO Creator or LEGO 18 Plus Ghostbusters ECTO-1, an incredible set. If you're a Ghostbusters fan and a LEGO fan, I would highly recommend this thing. I know I'm a little late to the party on this. It came out in November of 2020, but I'm glad I finally have it here, and I'm super excited to display this thing on the shelf. So I think that's going to be it, and in the next video I will show you how to switch that ladder to the other side and make this car look more like the ECTO-1 from the original Ghostbusters 1984 film. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.